Hello and welcome to Alternate Image Raid. This is another Raid Shadow Legends video, and I want to talk about the upcoming Guaranteed Legendary event along with the 10x that goes along with it. I'm only going to talk about the portion of the 10x that is applicable to the Guaranteed Legendary because otherwise, honestly, if you don't know that you should be going after that 10x, then you probably are better served by a 2x. So I'm going to be able to help you most by discussing my thoughts on this Guaranteed, if it's worth going after, if it's going to make any sense, if I'm going to, and that's where this video is going to focus. So the guaranteed legendary we're going to be having a chance to get is Fortus. And right now this legendary is apparently broken. I believe it's A3 doesn't actually do the damage it's supposed to do, but they say they're going to fix that damage in the next major update that happens. And so you would be going after this hoping that that fix is significant and doing the function that you want it to be doing. This is kind of secondary, but something to consider, that right now this champion is not functioning well, and that would weigh on my mind about trying to go after it. However, even without that, I am not going to be attempting to go after the champion. I can't anyway, because this will cost 80 void shards, and 80 void shards outside of a 2x event. So it's a little bit more complicated than just yes or no because of the 10x that's going along with it. However, for this champion, it's okay. He has a chance to place a fear, and if the target is under a fear or true fear, it will be a critical on his A1. His A2 can place a true fear. It does not need to be resisted if they're already under a fear, but he would need accuracy to get them under a fear with, say, his A1 ability anyway, so it's kind of complicated there. And then with his A3, which is a chance ability, it has a chance to be unlocked whenever an enemy has fear or true fear debuff placed on them. And then supposedly this one could eventually really hurt. Will ignore 30% of each target's defense against targets under fear or true fear. Will always be a crit, so you could in theory build him without a bunch of crit. And that damage will increase every time a fear or true fear goes out. So this has some interesting applications. Obviously it's generally tuned to be for wave content. You have somebody come out and place fear on the entire other team, and then he's getting a 40% or potentially stacking higher buff if this unlocks. So that's of course random proc. You can't guarantee it on any kind of tunes. You can't guarantee it on specific speed teams. I don't really know where that's going to be useful. However, what I haven't really seen pointed out yet is that this value is weaker on a boss because a boss can't be feared. So basically no boss in the game can be feared. However, this champion's damage increases every time an enemy is feared. It doesn't say that it will only apply to that enemy. Obviously, the ignore 30% of defense does. But if you were to, say, go to Spider and drop fear on all of the Spiderlings, you could potentially have plus 120% damage. And if it keeps scaling up, I don't know, there could be some applications for it being really good, even against a boss with that 40% extra, but it's going to be kind of niche. Maybe Hydra. No, Hydra has no ads. I don't know. I don't really know where this is going to matter. Arena, maybe, I guess. But Fear isn't really the best debuff in Arena. It does make Fears worse, although Fears already feel like they happen either 0% or 100% of the time, depending on whose Fear it is. So that's something. And then the active effect, if he dies, he doesn't die, but he doesn't get revived, so champions like Lydia won't stop him. However, it functions kind of like Tormund the Cold's ability, in that it brings him back up, it kind of resets him. This one, it puts a sleep on him, but at least it can be broken so he can get to keep going. It's a decent kit. If his multipliers are really high, particularly once it's fixed, it's fine. But the difference for me between, like, say, a fusion or fragment event and a guaranteed is you are giving up most of the time the chance for 2x as opposed to not. So this guy isn't somebody who would incredibly interest me on his own right. Of course, I only have 54 void shards, which isn't like a low amount, but this guy needs 80, and I'm definitely not going to be buying 26 more void shards and spending, I don't know, $200 or something. I haven't really paid attention to void shard prices to get this champion. So if you don't have the voids, is this guy worth a bunch of money to you? And for me, it would be a no, even if I was willing to spend that kind of money here, which I'm not. But I did say it gets more complicated because it isn't just that champion that needs to be considered. So there will also be a 10x event going on during this, which will also have some Void champions to consider. The epic is Andrissia. She has a chance to place a decreased crit damage debuff, which is one of the weaker debuffs, but isn't the worst thing ever. Has a chance of placing a stun only on one target. Kind of weak. And then this one's actually not bad. It decreases the duration of all enemy debuffs by 2 turns. It's basically a purge. Attacks all enemies. She is defense based, which is pretty nice. And she will do a passive ally protect, kind of like neck grip, but not quite as good. Decent support champion, but not amazing. However, there is an amazing support champion that's coming in this 10x. And that support champion is one of the best champions in the entire game, Krisk. Krisk is going to be in the 10x. And because he is going to be in the 10x with this amazing kit, let's go over it in case you're not familiar. AoE with a decreased speed chance. We have AoE with ally protect, and it drops a continuous heal on him to help him keep going. We have an AoE provoke that increases his defense, increases the speed of your team. And whenever he gets attacked, he will get a decreased defense and decreased attack on the enemy. Plus, at the start of every round, he's putting a pretty big shield out on the whole team. Krisk is amazing, and Krisk is part of this 10x. So if you were somebody who was going to go hard after a 10x for Krisk, because it's unlikely they're ever going to put a guaranteed in for Krisk, not impossible, but I wouldn't say it's likely, then there could be some value in going after the champion. If you were going to spend a ton of resources going after Krisk, why not do it while you can also get it guaranteed at the same time? Again, for me, I don't have the resources, and I really don't trust 10x's. The odds of that aren't great. Although 10x on Void is actually a little bit better because there's less Void champions. So when you're multiplying your chances of getting one particular champion by 10, the value does go up. Generally speaking, for most accounts, I would not say it's worth going after for these champions. It is 80 Void shards that you're going to need to get this guaranteed. If you don't have enough to get after this guaranteed, since it's not a 2x, not that that helps a lot, but your odds are very bad at even getting a legendary. And just getting one specific legendary, even with 10x the odds, is still pretty low. So for most people, I wouldn't say blow all of your Void shards here. I wouldn't be, even if I had them. However, if you're somebody who is going to spend big, and you want Krisk, and you're going to spend those resources, now is actually a really great time to target that if you need very specific legendaries and not very general legendaries. If you're at the point of your account where you need to get just anything good, this isn't the time to pull weight for a 2x. If you're at the time where you only need select champions, then this gets you some chance at double dipping if you're gonna go hard for Krisk and try to get this. However, if your account's at a point where not many champions other than Krisk are going to help you, I don't know if you're going to find any place for Fortus here either. He does give ally crit rate in all battles and then doesn't even need it half of the time. So for me, this guy's a hard pass. I don't think it's worth going after. There's some good champions in the rest of 10x. Hellhades has a great video on that one. I'll drop that in the description below if you want to check out his thoughts on those other champions. However, for me, the Void side, the guaranteed side, which is really the most important part, I don't recommend 10x's in general, is just not quite good enough to go after unless you were going to whale anyway. So that's my thoughts. This has been an alternate image raid video, and I hope you guys all have a great day.